Hi, friends, and welcome back. Today is the 6th day of the Ugly Art Club's 5-minute challenge. The goal of this challenge is to get you in your studio and play for 5 minutes a day. And if it helps encourage you to play longer or play more or play in a different way, I think that's awesome as well. At the end of this challenge, the enrollment for the club opens again. It's only open a couple times a year. I do not have any affiliation with this club, but it is something that I enjoy, and it is a nice resource just to get you in your studio and playing. All that information will be linked down below. So the prompt today is spill. And I think I'm going to be using some acrylic ink for this. Whenever I think of spill, I think of acrylic ink because I have spilled it far too many times as I have worked with it. It is it's a liquid ink, obviously, and if you do not recap your container right away, it will spill everywhere and you'll need to clean up that ink in some way. Trust me, this has happened to me. So I'm starting out on this page with some different collage elements. I could have gone ahead and used my ink right away. I know that all of these elements will not be in the foreground when I'm done, but I think it is nice to bring in a few different layers. So I'm kind of just building up my background right now. I really don't even know what will show when I'm done, but that is not my goal right now. So I'm just using some different neutral colored papers. Some have marks on them already. Some are book text. Some were just, under sheets of paper. Not being too particular, randomly ripping those pages and gluing them on. Next up, I'm going to come in with that acrylic ink and put some of it on my page. Now, I end up using way too much, so a little bit goes a really long way. And often I will use water with when I am using acrylic ink because I like the way that it spreads the color out more. The color is not as concentrated. It becomes more of a translucent effect. As you can see, after I spray, I am realizing just how much ink that I put on. So I'm going to grab some of my excess pieces of paper that are laying around. Yes, you could wipe them up with a paper towel. But if I do it this way, I can use those other pieces as collage fodder for something else down the road. They already have color added, and maybe I can just add a few art marks to them and I'll be good to go. So this definitely does take up some of my time here in my 5 minutes, but I know that that is too much ink for the page to handle. Plus, it is just too saturated with color for what the look is that I'm going for. And it's not all that bad. With the prompt spill, I kind of spilled a little bit, so it's okay. I think it all ends up working. I did go ahead and pause my timer. I need to have that dry. That page is really wet now, and I'm a little worried about it going through on that back side since it is already done. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that with the heat gun first and see that if I can eliminate the issue in some way. All right, I'm going to go ahead and restart my timer. The page is not 100% dry, but it is to a point where I can work on top of it again, and I'm not worried about any of that color or moisture kind of soaking into the pages that are underneath. I'm going to use a stencil next. I want to get some sort of design over the top of this spilled ink just to create a little bit more interest. Otherwise, things are looking a little bit flat as they are. When I use stencils, usually I don't use the entirety of the stencil or do it across the whole page, but rather just pick little sections, and this helps it to almost go in and out of the foreground and the background a little bit and create that dimensional layers. Now I'm thinking about where I want to put that label, and I had realized that I did not close my ink after I did it, so I was just bound for another spill. Got that closed. Make sure you close them when you use them. I'm adding in some scribbles on top and kind of making sure that label fits in with what's going on around it, that it doesn't look like it is just plopped down on top. I'm going to do some art marks, and the shape of these marks kind of emulates the stencil that I use, but just in a smaller version, so I like the repetition that that provides. This corrector pen is one of my favorites to use. It's actually like a whiteout corrector, but it dries really quickly and it has a bit of a texture when it's down on the page when I make marks like this. So it is definitely one of my go-to supplies that I have found. All right, and my time is up. I'm just looking at this page, seeing if it needs anything else. Something, it's just not popping quite enough for me, especially where that label is. So I'm going to take a little bit of black gesso, and I'm actually using the wrong side of my paintbrush and kind of just scratching it in around it, kind of getting that label to stand out from the background a little bit more. If you have questions about any of the supplies that I've used, I try to link everything in the description below. If I miss something, just go ahead and ask. I'd love to know what you guys think about this page and think about the challenge so far. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for day number 7. Have a great one.